Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another mod stream. We're back. We're here. We're trying to have ourselves a grand old time. Let's get good old Mike out of the picture here. All right. And let's make ourselves some caffeine, shall we? As you can see, I moved the Terrans over. And created some space for a new base over there. Normally, I'm against sticking players in really hard to reach places, or situations like this where there's not really that much that the player who's attacking into the Terrans can do to decimate their front line or anything like that. Got sidetracked by looking at some repetition that I wanted to avoid. Anyway, that aside, normally I'm against sticking players up against corners or map borders or in areas where they are it's very easy for them to completely isolate the entry points into their base. I don't actually think that it's that easy for the Terrans to isolate every entry point into their base, mostly because it's not like they have a huge number of resources over here, so they can't one base off of this anyway. And there's a meaningful difference between these two areas that stops, like, especially once I end up adding some unbuildable terrain over here, there's going to be less maneuverability or less placement room for buildings. That it's not like they're going to be able to just bunker down and secure like 2 bases, 3 bases, whatever. They are going to need to stick their neck out in order to get 2 bases, and I think that that's obviously something that's important. But at the same time, I like the idea that they have this very defensible starting position because they are 1 against 6 in a way, you know? It's 1v3v3. So, them being the 1 in that equation makes it pretty unlikely that they'll be able to survive without a lot of assistance. So, some of that assistance will come in the form of terrain advantage. I did want to quickly look at the refinery ice script, though. I don't even think I have a refinery graphic. Yeah, I don't have a custom refinery graphic. So I should take a look in here. It's actually getting stuck on the 3rd frame, it looks, or the 2nd. Well, it's 0, 1, 2, so it is the 3rd, but it seems like a very strange bug. Sorry about any background noise. By the way, I had to turn the AC up. It's so hot here. Actually, it might be related to Almost Built or something. Like, if the game is failing to send the signal that the unit should now move on to its own animation, that could be a problem, I guess. Obviously, I can't replicate it over here, but... like... yeah, even when I'm attacking it, it doesn't seem to do anything. So... your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. Not sure what the deal is with that. Oh yeah, this is gonna be one of those goofy ones. Yeah, with this map actually coming together somewhat, I feel a bit more confident in like the overall layout, I guess. Just gonna slap these around a little bit. right. So that stuff looks good. I should finalize the number of expansions that I want on this map before I move on to general design. Like more specific design. I also don't really know. Like, I might want to just charge forward and start the layout for the third map today. That would be pretty ambitious, but really depends on where my mood takes me today. I worked pretty hard yesterday at my actual job, so I treated it like it was a really extensive workout session. So I'm paying the price for that now. Okay. Smoothing out some of this stuff. It's stuff like this that I could spend hours on trying to like fine tune the physical appearance of some of the maps, but ultimately it's not always worth it. Well, I guess it's worth it. It's just like when you have a time budget, you've got to figure out what exactly it is you like is 100% paramount, right? It's one of the other reasons why I'm motivated to jump right into another map's layout development, because even though it's going to be a while before we get to the point where we can play that map and experience any of the maps that we've already done layouts for, like at this point, this map is getting to the point where it's in the same state of affairs as the first map is. It's not quite as pretty, but it's in a similar state of like completion. I just need to add a couple bases and then it'll basically be there, where I just need to tweak the map flow based on testing and continue decor otherwise. But it's going to be a while before we can really experience these maps in that sense. So, I don't know what to make of that really, but... I think there's like some really bad issue with, like, you could copy the implementation I had from Toddborn 1-to-1, and you would still have really big issues when you wanted to move the unit. But I mean, when it wasn't kiting or anything like that, it was usable at least. But yeah, it's pretty bad. Well, you could have, but I mean, don't you want to have? I don't know. It depends on what's important to you. I mean, like, we'll always appreciate more help, but I figured you were interested in making some sort of progress with your own work. And you know, exploring the concepts that you wanted to work on and all that. Yeah, you might have to settle for stuff like that, unfortunately. I have to manually paint high jungle. Well, that'll be something added to the brush at some point. I wish we knew, like, definitively what the cause of that weird building AI issue was. Yeah, a lot of people like UED Commander, I'm assuming, you know, people who are already working on Brood War are probably going to continue working on Brood War until the new engine is out, you know? SI never got back to me when I asked him about the updates. SMH. What a guy. TBH. Oh, okay. Let's check this out. Map editor. Must feature custom tiling ISOM diamond settings system if diamond-like system is going to be used. By custom layouts, are you talking about like AI based layouts or? I'm not sure about the trigger system, but I feel like we'll probably have support for something like that. It's unlikely we will not have support for stuff like that. I just don't know how often I would use them, so I can't really say much about whether or not like these would be a great addition. It's like, yeah, I mean, people are probably going to find use for them. I will find some limited use for them with cutscenes and stuff, so. Ideally, we would just have pre-rendered cutscenes built in Unreal or something. Okay, that looks good. Yeah, that would be really awesome. Let's see. New format converter for GRP stuff. Oh, converting old maps to the new format. Yeah, I would say that that's pretty low priority, but maybe it'll be possible to do something easily enough. Depends. I think parsing the format for those is pretty trivial, since we have a bunch of open source examples of code that does it, like CHK Draft and CHK Forge, are already doing that. So, but I do think that like I personally like the approach of being able to start one program like Galaxy Edit or World Edit or whatever, and just edit everything in there. Like have it be a one-stop shop. Like you don't need to run PyDat and PyMPQ and PyGRP. Like you don't need Firegraph. Like none of that stuff. You can just do it all in the one program. I think that is better, but I guess the concern with that would be performance. Like you have to launch this one program in order to make it happen or something. I don't know. Now, when you say no iScript / flingy separation for unit movement, I think we should preserve the potential for this feature to be added. I think movers should probably be their own data type. I'm not really sure what a counterargument to that would be. So the reason is, if you have a situation where you say like the old Dragoon animation before HYDRA, that animation, like in the vanilla game, has problems because like it's the source of Dragoon pathfinding errors because the engine on the pathfinding on an engine level is stupid. I don't think that's really a root problem with iScript and that method. So I would preserve that because it allows us to make it so that units move different degrees, like they move at different speeds in their animation, or different percentages of their movement speed at different points in their animation, which makes sense for things like walkers, or even like the Reaver, where it like juts ahead every now and then, it like jerks forward. I think stuff like that is useful. The reason it was removed in HYDRA is because of an issue with pathfinding, not because I think it's a bad mechanic. I think it's useful for thematics and visuals. And as long as you make it not have a significant gameplay impact, or one that's like very obviously stupid, like the Dragoon stuff anyway, and the Goliath pathfinding, I think we can resolve most of the issues related to that. So I don't know. I'm not sure what your argument for removing the separation there actually is. I think that you should be able to apply your intended speed, and then, like, so say you want your unit to move at like 40 pixels per second, and you want to control in the animation what percentage of the movement is done, or something like that. I don't know, per second seems a little off. But like, if you want the unit to move like at a certain percentage in its iScript, like in its animation, there should be some tool that will convert that into a percentage for you. So like when you're plugging all that stuff in, you should be able to see at the very end, like, based on this animation, this is this unit's base movement speed. And like it would generate, like when you mouse over the value that you've got there, or it would just generate like next to it in a comment saying like move 4, and then in a comment it would say like 25% movement speed, because there's like 4 instances of move 4, and that's the only animation. And then it would give you like the movement speed per second or something like that. Like it would calculate all that for you so you could balance that out. I think that would be fine. So let's see. Bullet projectile weapon fire function must not be dependent on units. I guess I should copy this into a notepad file so people who are following along on stream can actually see. So we went over most of this stuff initially. So we're down to number 4 under engine. Bullet projectile weapon fire function must not be dependent on units. So I assume this has something to do with the fact that if the source unit is checked, so one of the the idea is that the weapon damage, for example, it wouldn't have to check the source unit for upon the missile landing. It wouldn't have to check the source unit for something like upgrades or whatever else. All of that data would be stored in the bullet itself, and so the bullet would be useful for that. Like, you wouldn't have to worry about null checks or something. That's what this makes me think of, but I don't know if there's something deeper here that you're getting at that I'm not immediately coming to terms with. Possibility to design / specify / define shape of splash weapon blasts, including range. So this would basically make it so that you can actually have like cone attacks, or like the lurker splash or whatever, but you would be able to design itself, like here's the angle, or here's all of the points where it's going to do damage, something like that. Ability to easily convert from one unit AI state to another, or not have different states at all, just different settings. Yeah, the unit AI thing is a really big deal, because what we need from that is the opportunity to just remove, like, I think not having states is probably better. And, well, you could probably still conceptualize them as states, but the idea is, like, if a certain flag is ticked, this unit can't be, like, it can't be overridden. This can't be removed or whatever. Or well, it can be, but only by specific things. So, like, there should be a flag that says, like, committed to attack. So there's like attack added to attack, but then if it's committed to attack, then it has to be something incredibly high priority to remove the attack flag and send it back to base as a defender. Something like that. So, yeah, we definitely need more freedom about AI states. I definitely like the pathfinding settings idea. I think that when you're setting the pathfinding class of the unit, it could be like flyer or amphibious or walker or whatever. Like whatever you would come up with. There should be certain things that like then if you create a map object, you should be able to paint pathing. Or it's not even related to the object. You should be able to paint pathfinding in the editor, and a pathfinding brush that you put down, a layer of pathfinding, you should be able to right click and say like air only. You know what I mean? Like this works against flyers. Flyers cannot pass over this, you know, something like that. Cliff walkers can't do it. Amphibious units can't do it. Whatever, something like that could be interesting. Flyers and ground walkers must not use different pathfinding algorithms. Yeah, no fucking kidding. And you're talking about modifying the terrain with tools, even if the base game won't have that. Yeah, I know what you mean by this. This is basically like all of the different mechanics or unit functions that modders or designers, developers might want to implement in their content, even if we don't end up adding it to HYDRA. We probably will have something related to terrain modification. I mean, we already had the idea for the August Grad's Revenge creating unbuildable terrain. So, like, that's a very minor amount. And, you know, I guess in a perfect world, that unbuildable terrain would actually have health. And you'd have to, you know, attack it or whatever. So. Multi-level terrain. I assume by this you mean like, well, multi-level terrain could be something completely different depending on what you mean by it. My thought is infinite number of cliffs, like cliff levels. Instead of being limited to low, medium, high, we would just have an infinite number. I agree. If you're talking about having another level of the map, but like similar to what Armies of Exego had, where they had that cave system in the bottom, I don't mind adding support for that, even if I wouldn't necessarily use it myself in most cases. I think that can be explored. It's a lot to take in at once if you've got like multiple maps to look at, you know? And I don't know about ability to call iScript commands outside of iScript loop freely. I'm not sure what this means. Would this be like having a location over a unit and then in that locate, or like picking a unit and saying call or like play this iScript command or something? Or what is it outside of iScript loop exactly? Oh, it's like bridges. Okay. Yeah, we'd have to figure out a way to render units that are underneath it. But it's possible. So you're talking about being able to pass through bridges and also pass over them, like Tiberian Sun had. I definitely think that that's worthwhile, worth exploring. I've wanted stuff like that in Brood War for a long time, so. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything I necessarily disagree with here. It's the iScript flingy separation for unit movement is that's just where I'm not really sure what we gain by doing that. But like I said, I can envision a system where you tie movement speed to the unit itself, or you tie it directly to the animation code or something, instead of it being like instead of the flingy class of data existing at all, you just have that as a field in unit stat or something. So AI should be based on a settings file, could arbitrarily include additional scripts specifying map-specific behaviors in map editor. I think I would need to see a mock-up of this or something, because this sounds like it could get really complicated really quickly, depending on how many things you're including. But I do think that it should be a file in the map so that you don't need to relaunch the game by re-injecting new modding stuff every time you want to edit the AI. That I think is true. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, I think this is a good start for a list of ideas, like a wish list, for sure. We're gonna have to start a little smaller than most of what those are about. For things like data sizes and stuff, that's easy to do. We just define things as like a int 64 or something. I don't know. So I'm not worried in that respect. Some nice luck of the draw right there, man. Tell you what, it's going to be real exciting when we get that engine up and running and we can make our own content without dealing with lard code or Rust. Man against lard. I'm not sure if we'll use isometric diamonds. I think they are pretty useful, but I'm not sure if it's there's got to be like a smoother way to do it. I just don't know what it would be offhand. Man, I'm really gonna need to terraform this shit soon. If this keeps up. Why wouldn't you want texture blends? I mean, StarCraft 2's engine is horrible for textures. It actually destroys their image quality no matter what you do. We wouldn't have that problem in our own engine. I think texture blends are way better than isometric diamonds from the perspective of actually trying to build a convincing visual theme. I don't think there's any contest, actually. Because you can define exactly how grassy you want something to be, and you can define all sorts of stuff. What's not to love? Actually, I think a texture blend system would work way better in 2D. The more I think about it. Dude, this is a jungle map. Slowly but surely, we're greening this place up, bro. We're smoking the trees, brother. There's a ton of open space over here, though. I'm gonna have to keep that in mind as I work through the rest of this. Well, yeah, you would want a different type of border. So you could use, I guess you could have some sort of automatic border system, but I think it would be better to just manually paint details like that. Like, why wouldn't you just place trims or something, you know? Like, I think you would use trims to actually create borders, like some sort of doodad. And that would be fine. Odds are a worker's gonna get stuck in that one. All right. Okay. We're getting somewhere here. So this is mostly just for function and a bit of a preview for myself. But I think that'll be useful. I might push this one further up actually. Yeah. All right. Okay. So that's done. See, now we're getting somewhere. Now we're cooking with fire. That's how that saying goes, right? What the fuck? So it is this? I guess. These are always so annoying to do. Well, that won't work. Cool. I think the randomizer actually helped us out here with some of those north-facing cliffs. Always nice to see that. Always good to not get absolutely destroyed. And now I think we have a reasonable number of bases, believe it or not. Just make sure we got all of our assignments correct here. No crazies. No changeovers or anything. I guess we have 23 bases, by the way. Makes sense to me. Don't see anything out of the ordinary over here. Like I said earlier, there's a ton of empty space in the high ground areas that will eventually be sealed in some way, shape, or form. I kind of want to deliver some more jungle, more raised jungle and stuff, but I don't actually have raised jungle on where its lower cliff is the same height as its higher cliff, so I'm going to have to fix that at some point. For jungle, I do have some tiles, but I don't know if they've been updated, so I'll have to do that. Though honestly, I do really just want to have this whole map be green in a way. It's just the green. But we need to find a way to make the green on top of the cliffs a brighter green similar to Ray's Jungle, and then a green all the way up top to be a different color green. I don't know, that's going to be challenging. From an art generation standpoint. Well, I'm going to take this opportunity to BRB. So BRB. And when I come back, I will probably meander about for a little bit before deciding what my next major move will be. BRB. All right, we're back. We're smashing some stuff out. Hey. It's the duality of man to never be satisfied with the temperature around these parts. First it was too hot, now it's too cold. You just can never win. I'll mildly turn down the AC and hopefully that will fix everything up just fine and dandy. All right, so put that to one side. Go ahead and commit it. Okay. So here's the deal. Scroll back up over here. Man, having 3 jungle maps in a row might get a little irksome. That's one of the reasons why I feel like it's fine to... I mean, like, it's really, really nice that we have so many different terrain types or whatever. What's up, Veek? Time to dive in here. Oh, it looks like I already have a raised jungle cliff. The cops are after me again, SMH. All I want to do is paint some terrain, bro. It's going... But I've more or less completed the first draft of the second map, and I was going to move on to the first, but then I remembered I had... or the third, rather. But, yeah, I remembered some other stuff. Wow. You can tell I made this a long time ago. Man, this cliff type is a mess. Oh yeah, I don't think it's like a death knell or anything. It's just I would like to have more visual variety per tile set than I currently do. Like I would like to have access to more of that than I currently do. I haven't heard any reports of the stream hanging before you came in, so I'm assuming it's a you problem. Figure somebody would have mentioned it before, but if it is a widespread issue, somebody else should confirm so I can restart the stream and troubleshoot from there. Make your voice heard. Control M for Mongo. All right then. One thing that will be noticeably different between the second and third maps is that the second map will have almost no temple and ruins, and much more on the natural side of things. The third map is going to be much more like architectural in that respect. We're talking like most of the cliffs being artificial, I think. T for Tony. Oh. That was perplexing. Am I losing my fucking brain or what, dude? Apparently I had something selected. Alright, now that I've done all this, I'll just need to grab the raised jungle tile type, and we'll be good to go, I think. So the plan is that you're going to be sort of sieging occupied Protoss territory. It'll be a much more straightforward mission than the Shield in that, or than the Anvil, the second map. This map is like the pretense is you're fighting Zerg, and then it very clearly becomes that you're fighting Terran, but just one Terran. The next one is going to be like a dual strike team, and there's probably going to be like a Zerg brood that's still kicking in the area. But the Terrans won't... I don't know that they'll actually deploy the Zerg. I kind of want to wait for the Umojins to deploy the Zerg until the fourth mission. The Shield. My idea for the Shield is that it'll be a space station map, right? But it's going to be max map size. And my thought process is that the space station itself will be part of the map, and then there will be like asteroids and other, like, you know, just like other areas of the map that are not expressly connected. So this will be like an island type map in theory. And the Umojins will almost certainly have the capacity to like deploy the Zerg on one of those asteroids in my thought process. Mongo ship. But we'll have this space station, Around it, we'll have asteroids and stuff. And my idea is that at some point, the Emojins will get desperate enough to deploy the Zerg in that mission, even though, in theory, the Zerg are going to expand onto the ship itself, right? So, like, this is like a Hail Mary, in a way, reflective of how the Protoss are considering glassing their own planet. Like, in this case, the Terrans are willing to infest their own command ship if it means, protecting their asset, right? So that'll be an interesting duopoly there, or duality, like a reflection of what's going on. So I think it'll be neat, but the thought process here is that it'll mostly be you fighting Terrans. There might be some Zerg that are like free-for-all fodder or whatever, but they're not going to be controlled by the Emojins in the third mission. That will wait until the fourth mission. And then in the fifth mission, that's when like they go all in on the Zerg control, and they've got like Gathroki as like a dedicated ally. Where if we go to the documentation here, being that there's only 7 missions in the campaign, we've got Nerazan's rescue at the end of the 4th mission. And the Sheath is going to involve Umoja, but also involve like a comeuppance for what, like, Nerazan's failure when he got destroyed by or not destroyed, but like captured by the Emojins. I think it'll work out. It's just a matter of getting to that point. So, not 100% sure how it'll play out just yet, but the current plan is just to have the shield be all about like fighting the Terrans head on, trying to defend your territory, one of the most sacred grounds that you have, in theory. Mongo is blacklisted. Wow. I can't believe they would do that to one of my favorite characters, Mongo. Well, you can clearly see the main problem with this fucking setup. It being that it's very difficult to read the cliffs. Actually... This should help a little bit. Well, yeah, and Consummate didn't actually have ramps is the problem. Wow, you got Mongoed all right. I don't know why I blocked you for that though. Kind of a cheap way to do it, but we did it. I think it works out. Yeah. Don't remind me, SMH. All right, so now the problem becomes... I'm not really sure if it's a problem, per se. If I go to... Well, hold on. First, I'll reopen that, and then I'll go to Raise Jungle, and I'll find... All right, I'll send you some DMs later on. Sleep well. Yeah, I'm telling you, there's probably some really fundamentally fucked up thing with the new extender. It's the only explanation I have for all the crazy weird shit that's been happening lately. I'm assuming it's something with that. I mean, what else would be causing AI issues, refinery issues, building corruption crashes? Although that building pointer thing was before the extender, I'm pretty sure. Oops. Why does it always ask me to open up stat.txt TBL? Oh, well, maybe it's not related to it at all then. Maybe it's something more the case of issues with like hard code related to unit IDs. Why PyTile? Why? Why PyTile? What is that? Now I've got to go back into Photoshop, export just that graphic as a mega tile, and re-import it, and then clean all the fucking mega tiles. SMH. Seriously. Unreasonable. Oh, at least it didn't crash like I expected it to. We'll go ahead and save. And then we will do some painting. Hello? Oh, I'm on height. Don't tell me that. I'll become turbo paranoid. Okay. All right, generate height from walkability. Walk, 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 walk. Imagine you just tune into the stream for the first time and all you hear is me saying walk a million times. I think that's worth an instant donation. Still going to need to eventually pack in the extended tiles. But for now, this is alright, I guess. Wait, what? Okay. No. Vik was completely unable to figure that one out, I think. Maybe that's something he can look into later on. I wish that was fixed. That would be epic. Aw, man. Okay. No. I never used custom transport unit IDs. I still can't believe the change never went through. It's very sad. And they have the transport flag and all that in unit stat. Oops. Fuck. I don't know how that managed to happen. Oh, lard code. Would you believe it? What? No. No. That didn't happen. No. Looks like there's some blending issues, but for now it'll do, I guess. It's a rough draft. So, was that one of your unit IDs, or is that just something you found that doesn't have anything to do with your issue exactly? Well, yeah, we should just be able to hand the source code to people. No reason not to, I think. I know, I really want to, like, as weird as it sounds, I actually think one of the most exciting aspects of the new engine is how easily it'll, like, how much of an improvement it will be for things like Mapcrap, where you don't have that much time to produce some content. Like, the quality of Mapcrap content will go so fucking high, I think. Just because we'll have more freedom to do what we want to do. I hope it will anyway. It's gonna be like, it's gonna be pretty epic. Map crapping in a new engine, dude. Would you believe it? Yeah. Well, we already have map craps that are better than most Brood War content or most RTS content, which is it's already sad, man. But I agree, we'll probably still be using map crap as a way to get more content development done on occasion. Yeah, being able to move resources around would be cool, but in Brood War's engine, it would just result in insane bugs with resource areas because the resource areas, I think they're only calculated once. I don't think they are recalculated later, from what I know, anyway. Well, the reason why it's good is because it sort of boxes in and assigns resources to a certain region, and then you're like, if you're mining from that region, your workers don't try to mine from another region. They just mine proximally, based on proximity. But we'll like, there's so many other issues. So I don't know. There's definitely a lot of problems. Yeah, since they're not like you can't modify them yourself as a map editor, it's not very useful. But I think the concept is something that we can do better with. Like there's value in the concept, but I don't know if it makes any sense otherwise. Like you should just be able to assign certain resources to a res area. I don't think we need to restrict that. It's like if you make an error, like say I decide I'm going to assign all these minerals to a resource area, and then I forget that I already assigned those resources to that resource area, and I come over here and I assign these resources to that resource area. I mean, for one, that's my fault. I made the error there, so I don't think we need to worry about that. Maybe we could have like obviously there would be a draw mode where you'd see the resource area assignments, and so you would see that, oh shit, this is the same area, I gotta change that. But well, I don't think we need to necessarily redesign the entire resource system, but I don't know how, like, the town hall system where you can't place certain structures close to resources feels kind of lame to me. That there's a gimmick associated with that. Well, I was just saying that if you wanted to include Smart Rally, you would have to completely redesign resources because that removes a core element of the game. Smart Rally does. But like I was thinking that maybe rather than town centers being able to so like this red thing where you can't place your town center too close to resources should probably be removed. There you already don't want to hug the resources with your town center anyway because it it interferes with worker pathfinding, and certain town centers are just not going to be compatible with that kind of approach. Like certain resource areas rather are not going to be compatible with that kind of approach. And we can also, on a per resource area basis, paint unpathable terrain, unbuildable terrain wherever we want to place, that sort of thing. Yeah, right here. Or right here. Either one. Like, I think it's fine to not have that restriction. It's either all buildings can't be placed near mineral fields, or no, like every building can be placed near it, and we curtail that based on buildability, like actual terrain in the area. I think that can just be a typical balance thing. Like you can accomplish the same sort of thing of not being able to build close to something by placing unbuildable terrain, and leaving some spots open for missile turrets or some other small defensive structures, but not leaving spots open for town centers. Like, obviously, it's not quite the same because any unbuildable terrain is binary. It's all or nothing. But I think that's healthier than having some weird gimmick associated with one structure type. So, those are my 2 cents anyway. Unit IDs. Ah. Yeah, it would need to be larger than 256 by 256. I want a lot of graphics to be larger than that, but no luck in Brood War. I would like to, but not sure. Depends on people's availability. I already told you, Alcatraz Spore is not a unit, it's a bullet. Is that 31? I thought it was, maybe it was 32. May have gotten that one wrong. No, it's 31, okay. The Nathacore is working in a sense, but the cone attack is really bad. Like, it's just a bad unit right now. It needs some revision, maybe some bonus range, maybe maybe it should have a similar attack to the Firebat where it expels out so that it deals damage to everything. But, like, it's technically dealing damage, right? To all units, but it just doesn't do that much damage. And so it should probably have like a slightly reduced attack speed, but maybe more damage. I don't know. I'm sure the Defiler will have a morph eventually, but I'm not interested in adding any more new units other than what's documented because we have to focus on Deliverance. Like, Veek and I have to focus on Deliverance. And that means content development over modding. So that's pretty much where we find ourselves. I would stay longer today, but unfortunately I do have this headache that does not want to go away, so I'm going to call it for now. Did a lot of good work on the map. Got a little bit of work on some other stuff. I've already tried messing around with the halt distance, and it does not make an actual difference, unfortunately. I don't even know what stronger means in that case. I guess that would mean that it's a shorter halt distance, or do you mean a fast? I don't know. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. I was trying to fix that with the Gorgoleth as well, but the Gorgoleth has the same issue. Its halt distance is this. I guess we could compare that to the Nathacore. Has a slightly smaller halt distance. But even if I do like this, I'm pretty sure it's not going to yield a noticeable difference. Oh, man, why? Maybe that does actually improve its behavior. Executed. I pushed him into the firing squad. Because, like, if you compare that to the Gorgoleth, it's night and day, I think. Well, I guess they're both Mongolic in that sense, but... See? It happens anyway. like this is stupid, right? The Netherrock Lake apparently has halt distance and stuff. It's pretty funny. Probably shouldn't have any of that. So you're thinking that a greater values for Excel and halt distance should resolve the issue? They do seem to be hitting more often, so. I guess that's better enough. I'll throw that into the latest version as well. I do want to figure out why the Nathrikore's shadow is breaking, though. I think it has the same shadow as anything else. It's got graphic turn set to 1, draw cloak 0, clickable 0, useful script 1, draw fog 10, draw remap 0. And it is 1096, and that's what gets him gold. And it's pointing to the right GRP, because it's pointing to the Nathrikore's GRP. So why would it not animate properly? What the fuck? Any ideas about that one, DF? The shadow follows along and turns, but does not animate. Oh, it does animate here. Oh, it's only once they, it's a bug with the... Wait, what? So when it starts moving, that's when the animation stops for some reason? And the animation doesn't pick back up even once they're idle, I think? So they animate, the shadow animates, right? As seen here. Then I tell him to move, and it freezes. What the fuck? I've never seen that before. Maybe it's because of weight rams? I wouldn't imagine that has anything to do with it, though. Yeah, that has nothing to do with it. Apparently. Or if it did, it's not the only thing bugging it out, so. So the Guardian is set up to do pretty much the exact same thing, actually the same exact number of frames and everything. By comparison. Feels like something where the useful I script is. But I thought useful I script is supposed to be on for shadows. Let's check. Oh, I guess not. That's really weird. I guess it just doesn't break for anything else because they don't have different facing directions. I don't know. Wow, all this time. What a mess. Well, thanks for letting me know about that. I had no idea. Apparently. Oh, that's funny. Some of these shadows are actually implemented correctly. So I must have just forgotten that at some other point. How perplexing. How goofy. Vroom. What a goofball unit. Should probably get rid of set vert pause for that. Maybe for centaurs as well. Dumbass. Alright, what else was I going to check? Yeah, I'm pretty sure my shadow here needs to be up a few pixels. Right. What the fuck? Oh. Wait. I think it was still using the ghost's shadow. No wonder it didn't work correctly. Oh, man. Oops. Yeah, it still does need to be up, though. So we'll do -5. Savant's graphics has some holes in it I'm gonna have to fix later. Okay. Well, thanks for helping out with those. Appreciate that. All right, now we're gone for real because I really have to use the bathroom. So thanks again, DF, for your help. Thanks everybody else who hung around. And we'll be back tomorrow with another one of these. In the meantime, I will be putting out some content, probably a DadCon and AI castover, and maybe a Batman video later today. So stay tuned for those. Make sure to burn every plant in Gotham. Wave Frog. Bye.